What's up, sports fans? This is the Lucas Ross Sports Channel. We continue here with my 2024 predictions for the upcoming 2024 college football season. The Mississippi State Bulldogs are up next. Mississippi State coming off a pretty big disappointing season last year, going 5-7. Did not even make it to a bowl game in 2023. You look at this team, though, for 2024. New era, of course, for this Mississippi State football program, and, of course, with a new head coach and everything. So we'll see what the future looks like very, early here in 2024. But you look at the roster offensively, they do lose like Will Rogers at quarterback, transferred away to Washington. So I think it's going to come down to the quarterback position here for Mississippi State. And overall, this is going to be a really young team. They lost a ton of guys from last year, either from the transfer portal or, of course, maybe with the coaching change and everything. And then also defensively, they're going to be really young on that side of the football. That's the one area where I think they'll really struggle the most. The offense could be pretty solid, but I just don't think this Mississippi State team is going to be very good this year. And it's not really just about the roster. It's more about the schedule here for the Bulldogs. So let's now get to that schedule here for 2024. This is the schedule here for Mississippi State. Again, they were 5-7 last year in 2023. So let's go game by game now and give you a record prediction here for Mississippi State for 2024. They start things off with Eastern Kentucky here at home on August 31st. Should be an easy win here for the Bulldogs. I think they start out 1-0 fairly easily here with a win over Eastern Kentucky. And then after that, they'll play an interesting non-conference game against another Power 4 school. They'll play Arizona State here on the road out of the Big 12 here on September 7th in week number 2. There are a couple of SEC teams. Mississippi State and Arkansas both have week 2 opponents that are in the Big 12. You got Arkansas with Oklahoma State, which are the favorites to probably win the Big 12 this season. And then you got Arizona State here, second-year head coach. They weren't that great last year, but I think this is a pretty even matchup, and with it being on the road, this is not going to be a very easy game here for Mississippi State, but I think it could go back and forth. I do expect a competitive game here in this one. It really came down to the home field advantage, though, for me in this one. I've kind of been back and forth on this game ever since this game was scheduled. I think the Sun Devils might be a little bit better this year. Two coaches that are still kind of young into this season and everything. Mississippi State first-year head coach for them, second-year head coach for Arizona State. So this does make it a pretty fair matchup. Home field advantage will be the difference, though. I think in a low-scoring game, I'm going to go with the Sun Devils to knock off Mississippi State. So I got Mississippi State losing their second game here of the season. That puts them at 1-1. But then they'll play Toledo after that here on September 14th. They should be able to win that game. Toledo's not a bad, group of 5 team out of the MAC and everything. So this could be one of those games where Mississippi State probably slips up then, out of the group of 5 teams and everything, but I think Mississippi State will win that game still easily by a couple touchdowns. So I got them now starting out 2-1. Heading into SEC play, they'll play Florida here at home on September 21st. I know a lot of people saying that Florida is not going to be very good this year. It's not really just because of their roster. It's more about their schedule. In fact, Mississippi State and Florida both have very tough schedules in the SEC. There are quite a lot of teams with tough schedules in the SEC, but Mississippi State and Florida, I think, have the 2 toughest schedules in the conference. You look at this matchup here, Mississippi State might have a chance to compete in this game, maybe for a little while, but I think Florida is clearly the better team here. And plus, I've already done my Florida video, and I did choose the Gators to win this one. So I'm going to go with Florida here because they're definitely the more talented roster. The Cowbells will be rolling in this game, but it won't be enough to pull off a huge win here for Mississippi State in their first SEC game with their new head coach and everything. So I got Mississippi State now falling to 2-2, and then after that, this is where the schedule gets really brutal here for the Bulldogs. They'll play Texas here on the road on September 28th. Don't really expect a close game here. I think Texas blows out Mississippi State. Texas definitely a very dangerous team. They're going to be really good on both sides of the football, and plus it's on the road. It's in Austin, a very tough place to play. I'm going to go with Texas here to knock off Mississippi State fairly easily. So that puts them now at 2-3 going into the month of October. They get a bye week in that first weekend of the month of October, and then they play Georgia here on the road on October 12th. So back-to-back road games there with Texas and Georgia. They get a bye week in between those two road games, but I think this is another game that's kind of similar to the Texas game. It's not going to be even close at all. Georgia's offense too explosive, and the defense overall just too good as well. So I think Georgia wins fairly easily, and they give Mississippi State their fourth loss here this season. And then after that, they'll be back at home for Texas A&M here on October 19th. This is a Texas A&M team that's going to be very talented as well. You got Connor Wingman back at quarterback. Mike Elko takes over. So you got first-year head coaches here going at it. I think the Cowbells will be rolling in this game. I think Mississippi State's kind of desperate for a win at this point, but I don't think it will be enough, though. I think Texas A&M clearly is the better team here. And again, I think Texas A&M with Mike Elko coming over from Duke, the way he was at Duke in the last couple years, I think the future is definitely bright here for the Aggies. So this is a pretty even matchup, with two first-year head coaches, but talent-wise and roster-wise, Texas A&M is the much better team. I'm going to go with the Aggies here to knock off Mississippi State here at home. So that's 4 losses in a row, and then they play Arkansas after that here at home on October 26th. They're sitting here at 2-5. This is definitely a very winnable game here for Mississippi State. I think Arkansas and Mississippi State could, in fact, be probably the two worst teams in the SEC this year. Arkansas, though, I'm kind of having a hard time figuring out how good they're going to be. You look at this Arkansas team defensively, they're going to be quite young on that side of the football, so this might be a shootout here between these two teams. And then you look at the offense for Arkansas. Bobby Petrino takes over. I do like the Arkansas offense a little bit more than the Mississippi State offense. I think this game turns into a shootout, but I do trust Bobby Petrino and that Arkansas offense to get the win here. So I think Mississippi State loses another game here, and it's at home against Arkansas, so that puts their record now here at 2-6, but then they beat UMass here at home on November 2nd to take care of business, so that puts their record now here at 3-6. But then there's another tough road game, and that's on the road here at Tennessee on November 9th. Very tough place to play here in the month of November. Mississippi State might be better by this time, but I think Tennessee is just really too good. It's kind of like similar to the Texas and Georgia games. Very talented roster that Tennessee has. The offense is going to be very explosive, and it's just going to be an offense that Mississippi State's going to really struggle to stop against. Tennessee, I think, is also going to be pretty good on the defensive side of the football, so I think the Vols win big here in this one, and they give Mississippi State their 7th loss here of the season. And then after that, they get a bye week here before playing Missouri at home on November 23rd. Pretty good spot for a bye week before you do play, Missouri and everything. I mean, it's kind of one of those games where, it's potentially one of those upset alert type games. Mississippi State coming out of a bye week. So, yeah, Missouri, I think, is going to be pretty good this year. A top 25 team, in my opinion. I think Missouri is definitely a more talented team than Mississippi State is. The game probably will be close in the first half. I think second half, the Tigers do pull away from the Bulldogs, and I think they do give Mississippi State their 8th loss of the season. So going into the final game of the season, we'll be on the road here at Ole Miss in the Egg Bowl. This is a very tough matchup here for Mississippi State. Ole Miss is going to have a very explosive offense, just like Tennessee does. I think their defense might be a little bit improved as well, just like Tennessee's defense as well. And, this game is actually going to be on a Friday. When I did my Ole Miss prediction, I didn't change my graphics. I did say that game was on a Saturday, but it's now on a Friday, the day after Thanksgiving. So this game will be on a Friday. I think Ole Miss is way too more talented than Mississippi State is. I know it's a rivalry game and all, but I think I'm going to go with Ole Miss here just because they're the more talented team. So I got Ole Miss giving Mississippi State their 9th loss of the season, and that gives Mississippi State a record of 3-9 here for 2024. So that's my prediction here for Mississippi State. It's not really just about the roster and the coaching change. It's more about the schedule, because you look at this schedule: Florida, Texas, Georgia, Texas A&M, Arkansas. Arkansas and Texas A&M, I think, are both very winnable games. And then Florida's definitely a very winnable game as well, but you got tough road games. You got 4 tricky road games with Texas, Georgia, and Tennessee and Ole Miss. These are all top contenders in the SEC, and they're definitely playoff contenders as well. So that's the reason why Mississippi State, my prediction for them is 3-9 here for 2024. That Arizona State game might be a very winnable game. They can probably finish 4-8, and if they can get an SEC win, they can go 5-7. But 3-9 is my prediction here for Mississippi State. Let me guys know what you think about these Mississippi State team down in the comments below. What do you think their record will be for 2024? Thanks for watching this video, and stay tuned here for more sports content videos on my Lucas Ross Sports channel.